My name's Ellie. I'm a registered nurse, originally from the central coast of New South Wales, and I have been working and travelling around Australia for the last 3 years. So after I did my uni degree, and then I ended up working in the emergency department at Gosford Hospital, where I stayed for 7 years before deciding to change things up and hit the road. I had never planned to be an emergency nurse, but I found the team really awesome, very supportive of one another. The opportunities to expand my skill set was really enjoyable, and the pace of work and the variety was something that pulled me in and kept me there. So I have worked in Trobe, Tasmania, Alpha, Queensland, Nhulunbuy, Northern Territory, Roebourne, Western Australia, Mullewa, Western Australia, Nannup, Western Australia, Kangaroo Island, South Australia, and Alice Springs, Northern Territory to date. Because of the beauty that is all around you, I enjoy escaping the hustle and bustle of the city now, and really love being able to have work take me to places that are just surrounded in nature, and becoming very fond of the red dirt and the landscape that is surrounding where you work. Initially, I wanted to do some exploring around Australia. There was a lot of states I'd never been to. Didn't have a bucket of cash, and so nursing on the road as I was travelling was a way to pay for the travelling, really. But I soon found that I really enjoyed the balance of working and travelling. Work took me to some places that I would never have been to otherwise, towns I would have skipped through, ended staying there for 6 weeks for work, and it allowed me to appreciate that town and that spot in Australia a lot more. You get to understand the lay of the land and that little part of the country a lot more than if you just got your tourist hat on and drive through in a day or two. I think also travelling full time is quite tiring. Sounds really silly to say, but constantly planning where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and so being able to switch in and out of that and put my work hat on and be able to work for a bit allows me to kind of sit back and reset and then get excited for the next leg of travel. And you get all the hot tips from the locals. They tell you where everything is. I think the ease of it really caught me by surprise. I was quite a little bit fearful when we hit the road that I wouldn't be able to travel and work and make it work. But so MediServe have been great with helping me line up work as I've been travelling, just telling them which direction I'm heading in, and then letting them do all the legwork of finding out where has availability, and say, right, there are 3 hospitals that want you, where do you want to work, and having the options just placed before you made it really easy. With every contract, they sorted out the travel to and from and the accommodation. They took care of all the logistics behind getting to the contract and where I was staying. This is how you're getting there, this is where you're staying, this is who you'll see at the hospital, and yeah, very seamless. We were heading up to do the Cape York adventure, and then our engine blew up in our car. So we were stuck there, and I hadn't planned to work in Alpha, Queensland. Didn't have any work lined up, needed to make a lot of cash quickly to pay for the engine so we could get back on the road. So I called MediServe, told them what had happened, and within a week I had a contract lined up and I was working, which even in that situation they were able to help me get work, to be able to pay for the engine, and yeah, that was very helpful. It's always been an enjoyable experience, jumping into working in a hospital setting in small communities. You get to know who's who really quickly and how everyone's connected to each other, and been invited on mail runs in the outback and hikes down in Taree, but they've always been very welcoming and inclusive. Very much so. It was very different from tertiary hospital. If someone comes in and it's you and one other nurse and there's no doctor on site, you're stretched to include assessment skills that you've never previously had to include, and you find that you learn a lot more because you have to, so that you can care for whoever needs help and whatever comes through the door. A really simple thing such as ear and eye assessment. In the hospital, if someone came in with a sick kid with some sore ears, you'd send them down to the ear room and the doctor would assess them. Behind a closed door, you'd never see what happened, but being required to assess the child's ear and work out what's going on inside, and assess their eyes, and even a more thorough breathing respiratory assessment is often required as well. I think in a lot of rural settings they use telehealth, so you are the ears and the eyes of the doctor. Got to really broaden and expand your assessment and research skills. Practically, I've learnt how to suture, which was something I'd never previously needed to know how to do. Even just coordinating patient retrievals and getting people out when they need to get out to bigger facilities is something as well that I'd never previously done. Yes and no. I find that people in rural and remote settings tend to be sicker when they come in. People in metro settings will often go to the hospital for the slightest thing and expect a streamline of services, imaging, pathology, medications, assessment can be done. But in a lot of rural and remote settings, you don't have patient imaging, you may not have the facilities to process bloods, and so the people who live and work there are aware of what going to hospital might mean, and so often they put off going just in case it gets better by itself. So often you'd have people come into the hospital who were sicker than you were used to seeing, and caring for those people in those settings where you're not able to take their bloods and see what their levels are because you don't have the facilities to do that. Really, you've got to adapt to what you've got in each facility to be able to care for them as well as you can. For me, the challenges have been broadening my scope. It was a little bit scary at first to realise that the butt stopped with me. The time factor is a big thing too, but I think you do get used to that and you kind of take it into account with your assessment skills, and you learn quickly when people need to be retrieved out as opposed to sit and wait to see if they improve. Being socially isolated from friends and family was a tricky one. I would recommend MediServe to other nurses, but as an agency, they're great. If I ever do a contract with them, I find that they do get back to you. Their communication's great. Their organisation of your travel is great. Can't fault them.